Hey, what's up, everybody? If you're enjoying the video, please hit that subscribe button and give a thumbs up. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. It really helps support the channel and allows me to keep creating content for you guys.
My name is Soo-ah, and I once believed I had everything I ever wanted. My husband Min-ho and I had been married for 5 years. 5 years of what I thought was perfect harmony. We both worked hard, saved diligently, and dreamed of traveling the world together someday. Our apartment in Seoul wasn't large, but it was cozy, filled with photographs of us smiling, planning our future. That morning began like any other. The soft ping of my phone woke me before my alarm. Half asleep, I reached for it, expecting the usual good morning text from Min-ho, who had left on a business trip to Singapore 3 days ago. Instead, it was a notification from our joint credit card app. A charge from a hotel in Paris. Paris. Min-ho was supposed to be in Singapore. I sat up, suddenly wide awake. My fingers trembled as I opened the banking app, scrolling through recent transactions. Restaurant charges in Paris. A boutique purchase. 2 tickets to the Louvre. 2 tickets. There must be some mistake, I whispered to the empty room. The card must have been stolen. I immediately called Min-ho, but his phone went straight to voicemail. I texted him, "There are strange charges on our card. Are you okay?" I waited, staring at the screen, willing those 3 dots to appear. Nothing. I called his company, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm sorry to bother you, but could I speak with Min-ho's team leader? I need to confirm something about his Singapore trip." The receptionist paused. "Singapore? I'm not aware of any team members in Singapore right now." My heart began to pound. My husband Min-ho Kim. He left for a business trip to Singapore 3 days ago. Another pause. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Kim, but your husband requested personal leave last week. He's not on a business trip." The room seemed to tilt as I thanked her and hung up. I sat motionless, staring at our wedding photo on the nightstand. Min-ho's smile now seemed different somehow, secretive, mocking. My phone pinged again. Another charge. A dinner reservation for 2 at a romantic restaurant overlooking the Seine. That afternoon, I found myself sitting across from Min-ho's mother in her immaculate apartment. I hadn't planned to visit her, but somehow my feet had carried me there, seeking answers, comfort, anything to make sense of the growing horror in my chest. "You must be mistaken," she said, sliding a cup of tea toward me. "My son would never lie to you. Perhaps it's a work emergency they didn't tell the receptionist about." I showed her the credit card charges. "These are from Paris, not Singapore. And why would he need 2 tickets to everything?" Min-ho's mother took my phone, studied it for a moment, then handed it back with a strange expression. "Have you been monitoring his spending? Checking up on him? Men don't appreciate being controlled, Soo-ah." "I wasn't monitoring him. I got notifications because—" "Perhaps this is why he needed some space," she interrupted, her voice gentle but with an edge. "You've always been a bit intense with your expectations." My face burned. "Are you saying this is my fault?" "I'm saying that sometimes when we hold too tightly, people need to breathe." She patted my hand. "Let me call him. I'm sure there's a simple explanation." She stepped into the other room with her phone. Through the partially closed door, I could hear her hushed voice. Not the concerned tone of a mother seeking answers, but something conspiratorial, warning. When she returned, her smile was too bright. "He's in Singapore, as he said. The Paris charges must be a banking error. He'll call you tonight to explain." That night Min-ho did call. His voice sounded distant, the connection supposedly poor. "The bank made a mistake, Soo-ah. I'm in Singapore. I've been in meetings all day. Your company said you took personal leave." Pause. "It's a confidential project. Only the executives know. I couldn't tell you because of the non-disclosure agreement." "Then why did your mother need to call you first? Why couldn't you answer when I called? You talked to my mother? Why are you bothering her with this?" His voice hardened. "You know how she worries. This is exactly why I didn't tell you everything. You overreact." I felt my throat tighten. "Min-ho, I just want the truth. I'm telling you the truth. If you don't believe me, that's your problem, not mine." The line went dead. Over the next week, a pattern emerged. Min-ho would call at odd hours, always with background noise that could be anywhere. The credit card charges continued. Paris, then Venice, then Barcelona. Always for 2. When confronted, he'd grow angry, accuse me of spying, of not trusting him. Then he'd apologize, blame work stress, promise to explain everything when he returned. I began to doubt myself. Perhaps I was overreacting. Perhaps there were innocent explanations for everything. Then I discovered the emails. Minho had used our shared tablet before leaving, forgetting to log out of his personal email. There in his sent folder were dozens of messages to someone named Jian. Travel itineraries, hotel confirmations, loving promises about their special trip. Finally, just us. No more hiding. I can't wait to see your face when you see the Eiffel Tower for the first time. My hands shook as I scrolled through their correspondence, dating back almost a year. Photos they'd shared. Plans they'd made. The careful scheduling around my business trips and family visits. When I called Minho's mother again, her tone had changed. You went through his private emails? Soo-ah, that's a violation of trust. He violated our trust first. I cried. Did you know about this woman? About Jian? A long silence. Then, sometimes marriages hit rough patches. Minho has been under tremendous pressure. Perhaps if you had been more attentive. More attentive? I've supported him through everything. Tears streamed down my face. How long have you known? She sighed. Jian comes from a good family. Her father is an important business contact for Minho's company. Sometimes men need to build relationships for their career. The implication hung in the air between us. This wasn't just an affair. This was something the family knew about, perhaps even approved of. Is he planning to leave me? I whispered. Don't be dramatic. Minho values stability. As long as you provide a comfortable home and don't cause problems, I'm sure things will continue as they have. As they have. The words echoed in my mind. How long had this been happening? How many business trips had been lies? When I confronted Minho over the phone about Jian, his denial crumbled quickly. She understands me in ways you never have, he said finally. But that doesn't mean I want to end our marriage. We have a good life together, Soo-ah. A comfortable arrangement. Arrangement? This is our marriage, not a business deal. Don't be naive. All marriages are arrangements. My parents, your parents, everyone makes compromises. Compromises, yes. Not lies. Not betrayal. He sighed as if I were a child refusing to understand simple logic. When I return, we'll discuss this rationally. In the meantime, I'd appreciate if you'd stop checking my emails and interrogating my mother. It's embarrassing. That night, Minho's father called. He had never particularly liked me, viewing me as not quite good enough for his son. Soo-ah, he said, his voice stern. This situation is unfortunate, but causing a scene won't help anyone. Minho has certain obligations to fulfill. His position in the company requires him to build relationships with important clients. By sleeping with their daughters? Watch your language, he snapped. The Kim family has always prioritized discretion and dignity. If you truly care for Minho, you'll handle this matter privately. And if I don't? Pause. Then you should consider what you might lose. The apartment is in our family's name. Your position at your company, didn't Minho's connections help secure that? Think carefully about your next steps. 2 days before Minho was scheduled to return, I received a call from an unknown number. Is this Soo-ah Kim? A woman's voice asked. Yes, who is this? My name is Jian Park. I believe we have something in common. My heart stopped. How did you get my number? From Minho's phone. He's in the shower right now. Her voice was calm, almost sympathetic. I thought you deserved to know the truth directly from me. I already know the truth, I said, my voice shaking. You and my husband are having an affair. She laughed softly. An affair? Is that what he told you? Soo-ah, Minho and I have been together for 3 years. 3 years of him promising to leave you, to start a real life with me. The room seemed to spin. 3 years. But we've only been married for 5. Exactly. He told me your marriage was arranged by your families, that there was no love between you, that you had an understanding. That's a lie. We chose each other. We were in love. Were you? She asked softly. When was the last time he looked at you with genuine desire? When was the last time he shared his dreams with you? His fears. His true self. Her words hit me like physical blows because they exposed doubts I'd been suppressing. The gradual cooling of Minho's affection. The increasing time spent at work. The separate vacations due to scheduling conflicts. Why are you telling me this? I whispered. Because he's been lying to both of us. He told me he was leaving you after this trip. That we would announce our engagement to his family. But yesterday I overheard him on the phone with his mother, making plans for your anniversary next month. Discussing having children with you next year. My mind raced back to recent conversations where Minho had indeed started mentioning children, something he'd always been reluctant about before. He's playing us both, Ji-yeon continued. Using me for passion and freedom, using you for stability and family approval. Neither of us is getting his whole self, his truth. I don't believe you, I said, but my voice lacked conviction. Check his second phone. The black one he keeps in his home office, locked in the bottom drawer of his desk. The password is your wedding date. Ironic, isn't it? You'll find everything there. Our messages, our photos, our plans. And probably other women too. After we hung up, I sat motionless for nearly an hour. Then mechanically I walked to Minho's office, found the key he thought I didn't know about and opened the locked drawer. The black phone was there just as Ji-yeon had said. The password worked. And what I found destroyed whatever was left of my world. Not just Ji-yeon. There had been others. Many others. And worse, conversations with his parents about these women. His mother offering advice on which gifts would please which woman. His father suggesting private locations for meetings. Family friends providing alibis. And most devastating, discussions about me. About how to manage me. How to ensure I remained the dutiful wife at home while Minho enjoyed his youth. Comments about my appearance, my naivety, my family's lower social standing. Plans for how to pressure me into having a child soon, to secure my commitment, and give her something to focus on. It was all so cold, so calculated. Not just an unfaithful husband but an entire system designed to use me, to contain me, to exploit my love and loyalty while mocking it behind my back. That evening Minho's mother came to the apartment having sensed something was wrong. Soo-ah, what's this drama about? Minho called me quite concerned. I looked at this woman who had smiled to my face for 5 years while helping her son deceive me. I know everything. About Ji-yeon. About the others. About your role in all of it. Her expression didn't change. I don't know what you think you know. Stop lying. I shouted, throwing Minho's second phone onto the coffee table between us. It's all here. Every message, every plan, every mocking comment about me. She picked up the phone, scrolled through it briefly, then set it down with a sigh. You weren't supposed to find this. Clearly. You need to understand our family's position. Minho has obligations. To sleep with clients' daughters? To maintain multiple relationships? To lie to his wife? To build networks? To secure his future? Our family's legacy. She leaned forward. Soo-ah, be reasonable. Many wives in our circle understand these arrangements. They look the other way because they value their position, their security. I am not many wives. I loved your son. I believed in our marriage. And you can continue to. Nothing has to change. You'll still be his wife. Still have this beautiful home. Still have the status of being a Kim. When you have children. Children. I laughed bitterly. You think I would bring children into this lie? Her eyes hardened. Be very careful about your next steps, Soo-ah. Divorce would be messy. Your reputation, your career, your financial security, all could be affected. The Kims have considerable influence. Are you threatening me? I'm advising you as a mother would. Think practically, not emotionally. When she left, I sat in our apartment, this beautiful cage they had built for me, and finally allowed myself to feel the full force of my rage. Not just at Minho but at myself. For not seeing the signs. For believing their lies. For thinking I had found love when I had only found a role to play in their family drama. The next day Minho called from the airport. My mother says you're upset, he began, his tone conciliatory but impatient. I understand you're hurt, but we can work through this when I get home. I'll explain everything. There's nothing to explain. I've seen the phone, Minho. I've talked to Ji-yeon. Silence. Then, you had no right to invade my privacy. You had no right to invade my life with your lies. I was shaking with fury. 3 years, Minho. 3 years of betrayal. It's not that simple. It is that simple. You're a liar. Your family are liars. You've been laughing at me, using me. That's not true. I care for you, Soo-ah. In my way. Your way. Your way is poison. He sighed. I'll be home in a few hours. Don't do anything rash. Remember, my family has been generous to you. Your job, our home. Your family's home, I corrected. As you've all been so eager to remind me lately. Exactly. So let's be adults about this. When I return, we'll set new boundaries, new expectations. We can still have a good life together. His confidence, his assumption that I would simply fall in line, lit something in me that had been smoldering for days. No, Minho. We won't have any life together. Not anymore. By the time Minho's key turned in the lock that evening, our apartment had been transformed. All traces of me, my clothes, my books, my personal items, were gone. On the dining table sat 3 objects: my wedding ring, the black phone, and a USB drive. Minho froze in the doorway, suitcase still in hand. Soo-ah? What is this? I sat calmly on the sofa, dressed formally as if for a business meeting. Welcome home, Minho. How was Paris? And Venice? And Barcelona? He set down his suitcase slowly. I see you're upset. I'm not upset. I'm awake. I gestured to the items on the table. Do you know what's on that USB drive? He approached cautiously. Soo-ah, whatever you're planning. Copies. Copies of every message, every photo, every conversation from your secret phone. Sent to my lawyer. And to my email. And to a secure cloud account. I smiled thinly. Just in case your family's considerable influence extends to making evidence disappear. Minho's face paled. You're overreacting. We can discuss this like adults. I'm done discussing. I'm done being managed. I'm done being the convenient wife while you live your real life elsewhere. I stood up. I've moved out. Divorce papers will be delivered to you tomorrow. He laughed incredulously. Moved out? With what money? My family. Your family has been quite educational, actually. They taught me the importance of leverage. Of careful planning. I picked up my purse. For the past 2 days while you were finishing your romantic European tour, I've been having fascinating conversations with people you thought would never speak to me. His expression changed. What are you talking about? Your company's board members, for instance. Did you know your father's cousin on the board has a daughter who was also involved with you? She was quite shocked to learn about the others. Minho's face drained of color. And those clients you were so keen to impress. The Parks, the Lees, the Choice. They were very interested to hear how their daughters were being used as pawns in your networking strategy. You wouldn't dare. I already have. It's amazing how quickly people return calls when you mention having evidence of corporate funds being used for personal romantic getaways. I walked toward the door. Oh, and those investments your father made in my name for tax purposes? I've donated every cent to a women's shelter. The one that helps women escape manipulative, abusive relationships. Minho lunged forward, grabbing my arm. For the first time I saw raw fear in his eyes. You'll destroy everything. My career, my family's reputation. You destroyed everything the moment you decided I was something to be used rather than someone to be loved. I pulled my arm free. I loved you, Minho. That was my mistake. But making me pay for that mistake? That was yours. As I reached the door, his phone rang. From his expression as he answered, I knew it was his father. I could hear the shouting even from several feet away. It's already happening, I said quietly. The unraveling. The consequences. Minho covered the phone. So please. We can fix this. I'll end things with Jian. With all of them. We can start fresh. For a moment, looking at his desperate face, I felt a pang of the love I once had for him. The future I had imagined. The dreams we had shared. Or that I thought we had shared. There is no we anymore, Minho. There never really was. I opened the door. Goodbye. As I walked down the hallway toward the elevator, I heard him calling after me, promises and threats mingling in his increasingly frantic voice. For the first time in days I felt something like peace. My phone buzzed with a message. From an unknown number. It's Jian. Is it done? I hesitated, then typed back, yes. I've left him. Thank you for telling me the truth. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. I didn't just tell you for your sake. I told you for mine too. Meet me for coffee tomorrow? I think we have more to discuss about Min-ho and his family. Another message followed quickly. I have recordings. Things even you don't know yet. Things that could ensure he never does this to another woman. Things that could protect us both from his family's influence. As the elevator doors closed, cutting off the sound of Min-ho's voice still calling my name, I stared at Ji-eun's message. The woman who had been my husband's lover now offering an alliance. Protection. Perhaps even friendship. Was this another manipulation? Another trap? Or the beginning of something unexpected? Two women uniting against the system that had used them both? Where and when? I typed, my finger hovering over the send button. Behind me I could hear footsteps running down the hall. Min-ho coming after me. Before me an uncertain future. Possibly another deception waiting to unfold. I pressed send. The elevator began its descent, carrying me away from the life I had known, towards something unknown. Freedom perhaps. Or just a different kind of cage with different captors. Only time would tell.